The final ultimate key to living, loving, and laughing abundantly, because we all love to laugh, don't we? Doesn't it feel good to laugh? I think so. So this month, this entire month, which I cannot believe is almost over, I cannot believe it's almost October, but this entire month of September, we have embarked on a grand experiment to prove that we have the ability to live, love, and laugh abundantly, and to be a giver to life. The concept is summed up by the words of Ernest Holmes, and this was written he wrote this on a reader. It's called a Holmes Reader on Practical Wisdom. And I've shared the quote before, but I'm going to do it one more time this morning. Life is an eternal givingness, the offering of the cosmic self to the joy of its own fulfillment. You and I are part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. Everything moves in circles. We short-circuit our own good when we refuse to pass it on. Or, said in a secular way by a motivational speaker and author, Anthony Robbins, we've all heard of him, right? Mm-hmm. Only those who have learned the power of sincere and selfless contribution experience life's deepest joy, true fulfillment. Or, how about this from Eastern philosopher Tagore? I dreamt that life was joy. I awoke, and life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. We've talked each week why this is true. And to summarize, I'd like to say, when you are of service or when you are giving, you are living through the through me mystic or as me master stage of consciousness. You are being the clearest vehicle through which or as which God can express. You are living in harmony with your divine nature, so of course you're going to be fulfilled and filled with abundant life and with love and with joy. This month, we've explored how to prove you can live this abundant life by looking at the 5 laws of the stratospheric success from this little book called The Go-Giver.
So I get to borrow it when this is done?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Everyone can borrow this book. It is quick read, but wow, empowering ideas.
Wow.
We've looked at 4 of the 5 laws so far, and we're going to get to the final one today. And each week you've had an assignment to go out and to implement the laws of the week. And last week you had the law of influence, which says your abundant life is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. And the law of authenticity, which says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. I think grandparents really get that because, there's that time that they spend with their grandchildren, maybe just sitting and playing a card game or reading. It's just the time. As a grandchild growing up, those were the times I remembered. And, it's your giving of yourself. It's wonderful. So, last Sunday I shared how I implemented the 2 laws, and we all shared a little bit too. But today I want to hear from you, for those of you who implemented the 2 laws. So who implemented the law of influence and how? Larry?
Ginger did, because she was talking to her brother last week, and she convinced him to put their mother into a adult daycare.
Oh, right.
And she went, and she liked it, so they're going to keep going.
Wonderful.
And for a long time, they wouldn't even move out, get out of the house,
So this is good, getting her out and stimulated. Wonderful. And gives him a break too.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It wasn't easy, huh?
I can cajole people into doing what I want.
How about the law of authenticity?
Well, I was just going to, on the law of influence, we live in a area where we have 2 private wells. I mean, actually, I guess it wouldn't be called private. They're owned by the 120 homes that live in this area. And what I've been trying to do, because if the large well went down, we would have serious problems, is somehow connect, and it's not that difficult with city water. So what I've been doing is getting support from both factions in the city and factions in our neighborhood, where we could connect our line, but only use it in case there was a serious problem.
So that's wonderful.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
that's good.
We're so far away from the hot water tank to the bathroom. It takes forever for the water to. So we got a 5-gallon chlorine container, and we put it there. And when the water gets warm, we save the water for the washing machine.
Oh, there you go. Ah, clever
I
idea.
waste a lot of water too from my bathroom.
Yeah. Water plants, I see people with buckets all the time. How about the law of authenticity? This is the most valuable gift you have is to offer yourself. The
I
law
know
of
Larry volunteers for the VA. I volunteer here at the church. I volunteer for the Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Board. Historical Society. I do a lot of things for them right now. I'm involved in a fundraising effort to build a annex, so it's exciting.
Yeah, and Suzanne volunteers hours and hours here keeping our financial
Oh, yeah. I
stuff
like
on
that.
track here. Oh, yeah, but that you're giving of yourself, your gifts, which is awesome.
I mean, authenticity, isn't that just being yourself?
Yeah, but offering yourself.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
everybody is like you.
Yeah,
Well,
nobody's
no,
like you.
no,
Nobody can give
yourself.
the gifts that you have. The gifts that you have
I have a
are
hard time
Are
getting
unique.
you to do
are
that.
unique, and they're needed because there's no two of any of you. So that's what
Yeah,
nobody
so
can.
it's sort of like you said, grandchildren. You don't even think of that as a gift.
No.
It's a gift to you, not
Exactly.
a gift to them.
Exactly.
This way, this way.
It does. So we're going to get into the fifth law, according to the Go-Giver, and this might come as a little bit of a surprise because it's a little bit. It may seem a little bit inconsistent with what we've been discussing all month, but then again, think about this: spiritual truths are often tucked inside paradoxes, aren't they? So here it is. The fifth law is the law of receptivity. So you'll see a theme. We have a little bit of a theme going here with our meditation. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. In fact, every giving can only happen because it's also a receiving. Think about that. This is a profound concept that I really kind of want to get into this morning and get into it at a deep, deep level. So let me say this again. Every giving can only happen because it is also a receiving. Let me give you a couple of examples. First, I have a $20 bill here. So, which side, the head side, this is the head side here with Andrew Jackson on it, and then the back side here, the tail side. Can they have heads and tails? I don't know. With dollar bills. This has a drawing of the White House, right? So which side? Is this side or is this side the $20 bill? Which side?
You always want the
The corners are.
The what? Oh.
Is it one side or is it the other?
It's both sides.
You can't have just this side, can you? You have to have the whole thing. The front and the back. Okay, so here's another. In a moment, I'm going to count to 30, and while I count, I want you to slowly exhale, okay? That's all. Just exhale, and don't stop until I get to 30. Ready? Take a deep breath so you have a good supply of air. Now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. How are we doing? Anybody having problems here? Okay, can you keep going? 17, 18, okay. I don't think we
You're
can.
gonna pass out.
Yeah, we can't get to 30, can we? We really can't get to
I
30.
can't.
I did a meditation the other day. I did,
You
but it
get a
wasn't
chance.
easy.
But you're supposed to count 30 and
You
breathe
count
in.
really fast.
If you count really
Yeah, that's
fast,
right.
we
Yeah,
count
that was-
really fast, but if you go slow, okay. Well, so what if I told you? If I told you that it's been medically proven that it's healthier for you to exhale and not inhale?
No, it's not.
I'm just saying, what if I told you that?
I wouldn't believe you.
Would that have made one whit of difference, to use Ernest Holmesian phrase, in the amount of time that you could exhale? No, it's not going to make a difference, because exhaling and inhaling are this thing that we call breathing. It's all part of one process, right? Just like the heads and tails on the side of the bill, it's all one. You cannot have one without the other. So giving and receiving are the same way. Every giving can only happen because it's also a receiving. Many New Thought ministers, and myself included, have a dilemma when we say the statement, God and I are one, okay? Because the accurate statement is, God and I is one. But that drives the grammarian in us absolutely crazy. It's like, because R means plural, right? I, is one. And we could make the same grammatical faux pas by saying inhaling and exhaling is breathing, or heads and tails is the bill, and giving and receiving is the same thing. But we're not going to, because that would just make me nuts. But even though it's grammatically incorrect, they are absolutely accurate. Those statements are accurate. But when you were younger, think about this. Didn't you learn that in the realm of giving and receiving, that one was better than the other? Did you learn that one was better than the other? Were you told that as a child? You never heard that?
Yeah.
You've never heard that it is better to give than to receive? Yeah,
No,
I mean,
my
Except
statement
at
was
Christmas.
always be, don't ask for more till you're grateful for what you have.
well, I think this was pounded into us. It's better to give than to receive. And I suspect the first laws, in fact, really, the first 4 laws that we talked about this month really did support that statement. So it's imperative and imperative. So imperative that we not forget the implication of the 5th law. Because giving and receiving are one. And giving cannot happen without receiving. Think about that too. This is one of the things I think is really important. When you are not receiving or don't want to take something, you're inhibiting that person's good. Because that's their flow of good. When they're giving out, they're creating their circle, their flow. And so we want to be good receivers so that we can help others receive their good as well. And that's an interesting way to look at it. Because remember, Ernest Holmes said, everything moves in circles. It is not better to give than to receive. In fact, it's insane to try to give and not to receive. Many people get the giving down so much that they overgive. I mean, raise your hands if you've ever been in this situation. And you can become a little bit unbalanced. Your lives can seem a little bit out of whack because they don't let themselves receive. They get burned out, they begin to feel taken advantage of, and they feel used, and they even get discouraged and resentful, and they even get angry. And I've had this happen. Oh my gosh, when I volunteered for the women's club, and it's interesting, there's a lot of women who say, well, you're not working right now. This is when I wasn't working. You have time to do this. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And it's really important that you're very careful with your space and take on what you do want to do. But when you feel a little overextended and other things, it can be a little unbalanced. So, that's not a good place to be. So if you're not receiving to the degree that you would like, perhaps you have bought into the false idea that it's better to give than to receive. Perhaps you have an underlying belief that you're not worthy. You're not worthy to receive. Perhaps you believe one cannot be spiritual and abundant at the same time. That can be a huge issue for some people. We have Puritan backgrounds in our country that you can't be spiritual and be wealthy. But look around at the abundance that God has given. I mean, God isn't saying, "Oh, I only like the pious and the poor." I don't think so. I think that the Bible says, it's Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's given. Perhaps you believe that money is the root of all evil. Of course, the true quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven. Perhaps you have the limited pie perspective, the belief that there's only so much to go around. And if you take a lot, someone will go without. Anybody think that? Oh, I shouldn't take more than that. Sometimes when I'm in a buffet, I think that, gee, if I take 2 pieces of the chocolate cake, does that mean that somebody might not get one? I do think that occasionally, but then I leave both of them there if I'm really smart. Perhaps you feel resentful and envious of those that you perceive to have more than you. I've caught myself, being a little bit envious of friends who are taking trips to Europe, Ecuador, places that it's like, oh, what would it be like to go on a trip? And I forget, I have the power to do that if I want to do that, so did I strike any chords? Did any of that, recognize? Okay, this list could go on and on, but the point is that all the giving in the world won't bring you the abundant life, won't create the results you want unless you also make yourself willing and able to receive it in like measure. In like measure. Because if you don't let yourself receive, if you refuse the gifts of the universe, you shut down the flow. We don't want to do that. The master teacher Jesus laid it out on all in Luke 8:18 when he said, "Whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he seemeth to have." And that sounds really harsh, doesn't it? But we know that Jesus was not harsh. So what's up with that statement? What do you think? What do you think he was trying to tell us there? When he said, whosoever hath, to him shall be given, whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he seemeth to have. What do you think he was trying to tell us that?
The positiveness of the person who has will get more, and the negativity of the person who hasn't will get less.
It's a frame of mind.
Right. It's our state of consciousness. He's talking about our state of consciousness. And what we focus on, this is Esther Hicks, right here, what we focus on attracts more in our lives. What we focus on, we get.
Speaking of Esther Hicks, I love the way she explains it. By thinking that if you receive more, that somebody else will get less, is like you thinking if you're sick, then somebody will be less sick.
Yeah.
So if you're more sick, somebody will be less sick. And she says, does that sound, does that
logical?
Yeah,
No.
it does make sense.
Well, good point. Good point. And here's another important tidbit. If you aren't willing to receive your share, guess what? It will go to somebody else who is. It will go to someone else who is. T. Harv Eker, in his book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, tells of an experience he had that brought this idea home in a very striking way. He was camping overnight, and before nightfall, he made a lean-to to sleep under by tying the top part of a tarp to a tree and then fastening the bottom to the ground to create a 45-degree roof over his head. And it was a good thing that he did this because it rained all night long. When he woke the next morning, he got out of his shelter and he realized that, he and everything under the tarp were as dry as a bone. But that there was an unusually deep puddle of water that collected at the bottom of the tarp. And all of a sudden he heard an inner voice that said, nature is totally abundant, but not discriminating. Whenever the rain falls, it has to go somewhere. If one part is dry, another part will be doubly wet. And that is exactly how the universe works. There's an infinite supply of abundance poured down at any given moment, and it has to go somewhere. The deal is if somebody isn't willing to receive his or her share, then it's going to go to whoever is willing and able to receive their share. The rain does not care where it goes, and neither does the abundance of the universe. That's the Bible verse. It rains on the just and the unjust alike. It's all given. So Eckhart teaches a little prayer, and it goes like this. Universe, if anyone has something great coming to them and they are not willing to receive it, send it to me. I am open and willing to receive all of your blessings. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's a good thing to be open and willing, right? The Spirit, and this is Ernest Holmes in Pray and Prosper, he says the Spirit can only give us what we can take. And since the taking is an act of consciousness, we must be actively aware of the presence of our desire. We must know that a gift is being made even before we see it. Consciousness, our minds must be ready to receive this gift. So how can your consciousness start being a better receiver? Think about this. When you go out to lunch and your friend says, let me pick up this tab, what's your first reaction? What's
Sure.
the first thing you say?
Sure, thank you.
You guys are good. Yeah, seriously. And there's an honest answer. It's like, no, and you have this little struggle going on. Or, well, then I'll get the tip. Oh my gosh, stop keeping score. It's like, wow, thank you. And allow yourself to feel what it is to be a good receiver. When someone gives you a gift and, it's unexpected. It's like, wow, a compliment. When someone says, you look fabulous today, what do you say?
Of course.
Thank you. It doesn't always have to be a material thing. It can be a compliment. It can be a smile. It can be, I've smiled at people walking and, they look away like this, be conscious. I know I can be scary, but be conscious about receiving everything. Be conscious about receiving a smile, a compliment, a lunch, a gift. It's like, wow, I'm receiving. This stuff works. This is great. So, if you saw any of your beliefs in those that I listed a few minutes ago, begin right now just to release them. Let them go. Somewhere along the line, you made a decision, perhaps, to believe that, and now I invite you to make a new decision, to believe something else, and start affirming that you are now a good receiver. Right now, a good receiver. Start knowing this for yourself right now. Say with me, I am a generous giver and an excellent receiver. I am a generous giver and an excellent receiver. I am open to receive all the good the universe has for me now. I am open to receive all of the good the universe has for me now. Start by taking notice of all that is given to you and watch how you receive. Pay attention when life gives you great gifts, and always remember to say thank you, because gratitude also plays into us receiving. So the key to living the abundant life is to give, 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 and give. And when we saw how to do that through the 5 laws, and actually I have them right here to pass out so that you can each take one and have them. We have the law of value. Your true ability to create an abundant life is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. The law of compensation. Your abundance is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. The law of influence. Your abundant life is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. The law of authenticity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. And the final ultimate key to giving is making yourself open to receiving, which is the law of receptivity. You are each generous givers and excellent receivers. And each of us is now open to receive all the good that the universe has. And so it is.